This lesson is on graphing. We're specifically going to talk today about frequency tables, and we're looking at standard NC4 MD4, represent and interpret data using whole numbers. Our essential question, or what's going to guide our lesson, is in what ways can we represent and interpret data? By the end of this lesson, students will know the difference between categorical data and numerical data, and they will know how to interpret a frequency table, a scaled bar graph, and line plots. Students will be able to collect, represent, and interpret data, and they will be able to apply computation skills, addition and subtraction, when asking and answering questions about data. Before we get into the lesson, the first thing I want to talk about is some vocabulary. So we're going to look at the word frequency, which means the number of times or how often something happens. The word represent means to show or describe. The word interpret means to understand and explain the meaning of something. Numerical data is information organized by number. Categorical data is information organized by category. And a frequency table is a collection of data or information organized in rows and columns. Now we're going to take a deeper look at the two different types of data that we talked about, numerical data and categorical data. Numerical data, as we said before, is information organized by number. So if you're looking at this word number and the word numerical, they both start with that root. So that's a good way to remember it. Some examples for numerical data would be if you asked your classmates their age. Age is a number, so that's numerical data. Or perhaps weight. Or height. Anything that is a number answer. Categorical data is information organized by category. And some examples of that would be perhaps favorite color. Or favorite food. So when you ask the question, what's your favorite color? The answer is not going to be a number. So that's categorical data rather than numerical data. Now we're going to look at an example of a frequency table. So in this example, we would have asked our classmates what their favorite food is. So we're going to title this frequency table Favorite Foods. And we've used tallies here to keep track of our data. So the first thing we need to do is we need to write in the number of tallies to tell us the frequency. So if I look at pizza, that's 15 tallies. So that means that 15 people said that pizza was their favorite food. Hot dogs has 13 tallies. Sandwiches has 6. Mac and cheese has 12. And hamburgers has 9. So the frequency of pizza being a favorite food would be 15. It happened 15 times. Now let's look at some questions regarding our frequency table. Which food is most liked? Well, if I look at my frequency table, I'm looking for the greatest number in the frequency section of my table because that would be the one that happened the most. So I'm looking at these numbers and 15 is the highest number, which means that pizza was most liked. The next question says which food is least liked? Well, we know that least is the opposite of most. So if most meant that we were looking for the highest number, least means that we're looking for the lowest number. The lowest frequency in our table is 6, which means that sandwiches are the least liked food. The next question says, how many students like sandwiches? This is just asking us to look for the frequency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my frequency table and I'm going to look for the sandwiches section. And then I'm going to look for the frequency. And the frequency of sandwiches was 6. So someone answered sandwiches 6 times when we asked what their favorite food was. Our next practice question says, how many students like pizza or hot dogs? So this word or is telling me that I'm going to look at both of those frequencies. So pizza had a frequency of 15. Hot dogs had a frequency of 13. So since I want to know how many students were in both of those categories altogether, I'm going to have to add them up. So 15 plus 13. 5 plus 3 is 8. 1 plus 1 is 2. So there were 28 students who liked pizza or hot dogs. The next question is, how many more students like mac and cheese when compared to hamburgers? So that word, how many more, or that phrase, how many more students, is asking me to subtract, because I want to take the number of people that like mac and cheese and the number of people that like hamburgers and decide how many more are in the mac and cheese. So mac and cheese had a frequency of 12. Hamburgers had a frequency of 9. When I subtract 12 minus 9, I can't do 2 minus 9, so I'm going to regroup. 12 minus 9 is 3. So there were 3 more students who liked mac and cheese than the number of students who liked hot dogs. Our last practice question is, does this frequency table represent numerical data or categorical data? Well, if we think about the question that was asked, we asked about favorite food. And since we asked about favorite food, that's the answer to that question is not a number. If a student replied pizza, pizza is not a number. So that's going to be categorical data. And that completes the lesson for today on frequency tables.